Creative Assembly has finally released the roadmap for Total War Warhammer 3, at least for the rest of 2022. There's no question the launch has been quite rough so far, so can this come in to save the day? It remains to be seen. There is quite a bit to get through here, from Immortal Empires to Regiments of Renown, so without further ado, let's get to it. There are two planned updates before we get to Immortal Empires. We've already had the massive 1.1 update, and there will also be a 1.2 and 1.3. Update 1.2 is launching in May, likely within the next couple of weeks or so. This will focus on a number of things, addressing some of the community reported issues, various bug fixes, towers rebuilding too quickly, issues with flying units. I talked about this in a couple of recent videos. Ranged units failing to engage, demon factions automatically declaring war on Slaanesh vassals, and so forth. A whole bunch of fixes to the game, from campaign, battle, visual, and a host of different areas. So I think it's good that Creative Assembly is taking the time to fix the game before moving on to Immortal Empires. I'm a player of Call of Duty Warzone, and I think one problem that game has been consistently guilty of is they also try and integrate three different games sort of into one in a very different way, but still, I think the comparison is somewhat applicable. The Activision has a tendency to just continue to push out new content constantly without taking the time to fix the game in the first place. Yes, the Creative Assembly is not fixing Warhammer 3 as quickly as we would like. I will agree with you there, but at the same time, they are taking the time to do it. So that, at least in and of itself, is a good sign. So moving on, after 1.2, in 1.2, they will also add their first free DLC, which is a pack of Regiments of Renown. There will be one Regiment of Renown added for each of the Total War Warhammer 3 base factions, and it seems this is how they're going to add Regiments of Renown to those factions moving forward. I don't know if all of them will be free, but at least the first two sort of packs of them will be free alongside 1.2 and 1.3 respectively. I think this is great, first of all, because it's free stuff for everyone, which is awesome. It also means that these factions all sort of get built up together. Now, there may still obviously be DLCs that hit, some of them with units and lords and so forth, but at least from a Regiment of Renown perspective, everyone will sort of get built up on a more equitable and even basis, which is nice. If your chosen faction in the past would have to wait, for example, until they got their DLC, it was oftentimes very painful, right, to wait for those Regiments of Renown to come along. But now it's also a little bit of new content to tide us over. It's not much. I am the first one to admit that this is really not a lot, especially given how long it's going to take for Immortal Empires to be released yet, but something. It is definitely not nothing. So there's that. 1.3 will be coming sometime in quarter 3, that is July, August, and September. Given that it seems they're working on it roughly a 6-week patch cycle, give or take, obviously things are still subject to change quite considerably. If we see that patch mid-May, that would put this sometime in July for the 1.3 updates. So yeah, this will also include some skill tree reworks, increasing the frequency of land battles. I know that's a complaint for a lot of people from the campaign perspective. Requires probably some more nuanced AI tweaks, which is why it's going to take a longer time. The assembly kit, so full mod support, is also coming alongside 1.3, it looks like, if I'm reading this correctly. And then, of course, the thing that we're all waiting for, Immortal Empires, officially is the name, which is just awesome. It's a name I personally have been using just sort of as slang for quite some time, but awesome that it is the official name. Obviously, this is the big piece of content that we're all waiting for, so we're very much excited to play it. I know myself and a number of other content creators are pushing to try and get access to this ahead of time so that we can try and showcase it to you guys this summer, because again, if we're working from sort of a 6-week patch cycle, that puts Immortal Empires likely somewhere in September, which is still within this Q3 window of July, August, September, right? So my guess is it's going to be towards the later part of that span of time. And alongside Immortal Empires will be coming the first rework of Total War Warhammer 3, which is To the Warriors of Chaos. It is confirmed here. This is sort of what I expected to be the case, considering Warriors of Chaos never got a rework in Total War Warhammer 2. I figured they would be one of the first to do so here. Hopefully Norska will be up next relatively quickly. But also the Blood Pack will be coming alongside. Blood Pack will be free if you own either of the previous Blood Packs for either Total War Warhammer 1 or 2, which is quite nice. You don't have to have both. One or the other is nice. You don't have to pay for it again. And then also there will be the first Lord Pack releasing alongside. The first DLC Lord Pack will also release alongside Immortal Empires. So there is quite a wait, but the Immortal Empires update will be absolutely massive in every single measure and proportion. Moving into quarter 4, that would be October, November, December. There will likely be some serious bug fixing needed on Immortal Empires as well. I mean, if we're just being honest with ourselves, based on Creative Assembly's recent track record, they're likely to need some tender loving care on their new gigantic content. So I'd imagine, 2.1, 2.2 updates possibly in this time frame, and they say as much here. It's also going to be the next pack of Regiments of Renown will come alongside this sort of patch to Immortal Empires rather than coming with Immortal Empires itself. And then depending on how many patches are needed for Immortal Empires, they will then move on to the next DLC, which is Update 3.0. They don't really specify what that will be here, but of course, then obviously into 2023 and beyond, they will be continuing to update with new DLCs and content and sort of get into a regular cadence, hopefully, of constant updates and new content. They do also talk about here, these are sort of ongoing things that don't have a specific date or timeline, but I mean, they talk about in the second bullet point, Domination. They've already been doing updates even in 1.1, and I expect more in 1.2 probably, do Domination to continue to fine tune it. The chat system, I know this is something I've seen people recently talking about in various Discord forums and so forth. There's no in-game chat system, which is a little bit of a problem for multiplayer and in general. Not a huge issue, but it definitely is a problem. And they are looking to implement a new chat system that sort of is less prone to abuse, I guess. We'll see how that goes. Yet to be implemented, of course, but hopefully sooner rather than later. They also talk a little bit about land battles as well. They do want to try and bring land battles forward in some form back in Total War Warhammer 3. They understand that quite a few people still prefer that format, so they're seeing if they can get, sort of a dual matchmaking queue and sharing rating between the two, or if they would have to, have a separate one or whatever. They're not 100% sure yet. Again, remains to be seen, nothing concrete, but there's a final word here, a statement that basically just said actions are louder than words, which is hilarious to actually say in a statement. So we're going to safely ignore all that for now and just look forward to them fulfilling the promises that they've made here. I mean, certainly it all looks great on paper. The question is, will Creative Assembly be able to deliver on what they have promised here? Remains to be seen. That's all for today. Hopefully you enjoyed this. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thank you once again for watching, and we'll see you next time.